It started with a call just after midnight, the kind of call that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up before you even see the screen. An unknown number glowing against the darkness of my bedroom. I let it ring out, of course. Who answers a call like that? No voicemail was left, just silence. I figured it was a wrong number, a glitch, and went back to sleep. The next night it happened again. Same time, 4 a.m. on the dot. Same unknown number. This time I didn't hesitate. I blocked it. Problem solved, right? But the night after that my phone lit up again. 12:04 a.m. A different number this time, but the same cold digital silence on the other end. I blocked that one too, and the next, and the one after that. A new number every single night. A relentless, punctual phantom in my pocket. I tried to make a joke out of it with my friends at a coffee shop a few days later. Guess my stalker's an insomniac, I said, trying to force a laugh. They chuckled, clapped me on the back, and went back to talking about their weekend plans. But the laughter felt hollow. The fear was a cold little knot in my stomach that wouldn't go away. This wasn't just a prank. It felt organized, intentional. Then, last night happened. The dread had been building all day. I found myself watching the clock, my heart rate climbing as midnight approached. 11:58, 11:59, and then my phone rang. It was early. The call came at exactly 12:04 a.m., not 12:04. The break in the pattern was more terrifying than the pattern itself. My hand was shaking, but something compelled me to answer. I swiped the screen. "Hello," I said, my voice barely a whisper. Silence, and then breathing. A slow, rhythmic inhale and exhale. It was faint, raspy, but what made my blood run cold was the familiarity of it. It sounded like my own breathing when I'm deep in sleep. I held my breath, listening to the sound of myself on the other end of the line. Then the call cut out. I stared at my phone, trying to make sense of it. I checked my call log, expecting to see the number, but there was nothing. No record of an incoming call, no number, no history. It was as if it never happened, but it did. I navigated to my phone's voice recorder app, my fingers feeling clumsy and numb. There was a new file, a file I didn't create. It was titled Incoming 12:04. My heart hammered against my ribs. I pressed play, the room filled with a harsh, crackling static, like a radio tuned between stations. And then a whisper emerged from the noise, a voice so quiet it was almost lost. It said, "Don't let him answer next time." I froze, scanning the empty room. Him? Who was him? Before I could even process the question, a sound shattered the silence. A ringing, but it wasn't coming from the phone in my hand. My eyes darted around the apartment, landing on the kitchen counter. It was my old landline, a dusty, forgotten relic that hadn't been connected in years. Its little red light was flashing, and the shrill analog ring echoed off the walls. With trembling legs, I walked to it. My hand hovered over the receiver. This was impossible. It wasn't even plugged into the wall. Against every rational instinct, I picked it up and held it to my ear. A soft, clear voice spoke, devoid of any static. "Why did you answer?" I flinched, pulling the phone away for a second, before pressing it back to my ear. "Who is this?" I whispered, my voice cracking. The voice on the other end was calm, almost gentle. "That's what you asked last time, too." I slammed the receiver down and, in a blind panic, ripped the cord from the wall jack, even though I knew it was useless. I turned back towards the living room, my breath coming in ragged gasps. And then I saw it. My cell phone lying on the coffee table, its screen glowing. A new voicemail notification. My stomach lurched. I stumbled over and hit play, putting it on speaker. And a voice filled the room. A voice I knew better than any other. My own. I told you not to pick up. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the couch until the first gray light of dawn crept through the blinds, watching my phone as if it were a venomous snake, ready to strike. The next day at the office was a blur. I went through the motions, meetings, emails, forcing down bitter coffee. But I was a ghost. Every time a phone rang in the open plan office, I jumped out of my skin. My colleagues gave me weird looks, but I couldn't explain. How could I? Around noon, my pocket vibrated. I pulled out my phone. A new text message. The sender was that same original unknown number. The timestamp read 12:04 a.m. But I hadn't touched my phone all morning. I hadn't received a call or a text. It was just there. My thumb hovered over the notification. I had to know. I opened it. It wasn't a text. It was an audio file. I put my phone to my ear and pressed play. A voice whispered, "You can't keep ignoring yourself." And then another sound. A click. A creak. The sound of my apartment door opening. Adrenaline surged through me. I didn't say a word to anyone. I just grabbed my bag and ran. I sprinted out of the office, hailed a cab, and urged the driver to hurry. The whole ride home, my mind was racing. When I finally burst through my door, everything looked normal. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was out of place. Except for one thing. My phone, which had been in my pocket at work, was lying on the floor in the middle of my living room. The screen was on. The video camera was recording. My hand shook as I picked it up and pressed stop. The moment I did, the video file started playing on its own. The footage was of my bedroom, of me asleep in my bed. The camera angle was from the foot of the bed, low to the ground. I watched myself asleep for what felt like an eternity. Then, a shadow detached itself from the deeper shadows in the corner of the room. It moved without a sound, a tall, slender silhouette that leaned over my sleeping form. A whisper slithered from the phone speaker. "Don't wake him yet." I screamed and threw the phone against the wall. It shattered into a dozen pieces, the screen spiderwebbing into a mosaic of black glass. I stood there, panting, staring at the wreckage. It was over. It had to be over. I looked up, catching my own wild-eyed expression in the large mirror hanging on the opposite wall. But then, something happened. The mirror, it started to glow. Faintly at first, then brighter, like a computer monitor powering on. And inside the reflection, I wasn't just standing there. My reflection was still holding the phone. The phone I had just smashed. My reflection smiled. A slow, cold, knowing smile that didn't reach its eyes. "You always break the phone," it said, its voice echoing faintly in my apartment. It paused, tilting its head. "It doesn't change anything." The mirror flickered, and the image of my room was replaced by a list. Hundreds, maybe thousands of missed calls, scrolling endlessly. All from the same number. My own number. I stumbled back as the apartment itself began to flicker, the lights strobing between the dim daylight of the present and the pitch black of the previous night. I don't answer my phone anymore. Not for anyone. My friends think I've lost my mind. My boss thinks I'm avoiding him. Maybe they're right. But every night at exactly 12:04 a.m., the faint, ghostly ringing fills my apartment, Sometimes it comes from the broken landline. Sometimes it seems to come from the walls themselves. Sometimes it stops, and when it does, a voicemail plays on its own from a source I can't identify. It's my own voice, calm, tired, and utterly defeated. "Don't hang up," it says. "This is the only way we stay alive."